Okay, welcome back to our discussion on implementing the user functionality. And so we left off looking at the handler where we are supposed to add the user to the database. So we will need to do some insert statement. Okay. So before we can do that, we need to create an insert method. So let me go to users. Okay, and let's get to work. So we're going to remove this. What we're going to do is to simply hash the password. So remember, the password is just clear text. We want to hash it. And so we're going to create a variable named hash password. Okay. And we're going to call the bcrypt package. And we're going to use the generate from password. So basically what this function does, it takes a string and it converts it, it creates a hash, okay? And so it needs to be a byte string though, so I'm just gonna quickly convert our password to a byte string, okay, by using, a byte slice by using the open close square brackets along with byte. And the second thing I need to give to the generate from password is how many iterations to use to create the hash. And normally we would use like 12, okay, which would ensure that it does a thorough job of creating a very good hash. Okay, so this is our password. So hashed password contains our hashed password. Okay, so of course I need to check the error message to see, because generate from password returns an error message and the hashed password if there is one. Okay, so let's check for errors. Return error. Okay, not equal to nil. Okay, so if there are no errors, then we'll go ahead and write our row or add our user to our database. So again, I'm just gonna redo what we always do. Okay. So it's gonna be an insert statement. Okay. Again, you've done this many times. So insert into users, name, email, and password hash. Okay, so those are the column names in our table. So name, email, password hash. Good. Okay, so in these columns we want to insert values $1, $2, and $3. Okay. All right, so we're good with that. We're not returning anything, so we don't have the returning statement. And so I'm going to say error equal, and I'm going to use the m.db, of course, the database connection. And I'm not going to use query row, I'm going to use execute. Okay, because all execute does is return if there's an error. Right, so it returns 0, an error. So I'm going to ignore the error. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to ignore the row. So whatever it returns, I don't care about it. I'm just going to ignore it. I do care about though is the error. So m.db.execute, and then of course I'm going to put in my s, and I'm going to put in my name, my email, and of course we don't put in password, we put in hashed password. Right, so we're saving the hash of the password to our database. So if error not equal to nil. Now, I will do a switch statement here. So basically, I want to check for two types of errors. So the first type of error I want to check for is to see if the error is this specific message. Okay, PQ colon space duplicate key value violates unique constraint users underscore email underscore key. Okay, so if and the reason I'm doing this is if some user tries to sign up with an email that is already in use, then this is the message that Postgres will return. And of course, notice that this was the index that was created, right? So users underscore email underscore key. All right. So this name comes from users. All right. So because it was unique, right? Because password was unique, it creates an index called users email key. Okay, and so that's what we are using in our code. So again, if you try to insert a duplicate value, then this is the exact message that PostgreSQL will return. And so we just simply check to see if that's the error message. And if it is, then we will simply notify and say that that's the problem. So we'll simply return models that, right? Good. So remember we created this in the models file. Now, if it's not that kind of error, then it must be some other error which we will not check for. So we'll just make that be the default. And so we'll just return error. Okay? Good. Oh, okay. Yeah. Shouldn't be a shorthand notation because I have already defined error here. So it should be an equal sign. Okay. Okay. And so once that's done, then that's, where is that? Okay, here. And so here, if we pass that, then that means there are no problems, and I'll just return nil. Okay, so this is our insert method. Okay, so again, we need to hash the password, and then we're going to save the hashed password in our database. Now, why do we do that? Well, if somebody breaks into your database, yes, they will get the user's name. Yes, they will get the user's email, but they will end up getting a hash of the password. And that is important because many users, we use the same password across multiple sites. So they're going to use the same password for Google, they're going to use the same password as their student ID, student login. They're going to use the same password for Tinder. Is it Tinder? They're going to use the same password for Instagram. They're going to use the same password for their bank account. Okay, so you get the picture. And so you don't want to have that password exposed, because if it is exposed, then the person who broke in they will start using that password across different applications to find out which one works. Okay, so this looks okay. Now let's head over to our handler and complete our handler. So all we're going to do now is to call our function, our method insert, and then we're going to check for errors. So I'm going to say error. Yeah, equal sign. I already have error here, so equal sign. App dot users dot insert. Good. So what I'm going to pass in name, I'm going to pass in email, and I'm going to pass in the clear text password. Okay. Good. So when I do that, insert will either return an error or it will return a nil, right? Okay. So let's check. So if error not nil, then I know we have a problem. So I need to check to see what kind it is. Is it a duplicate email error? Let's check. So if errors that is, so we use the is function to check what type of error it is. So we're going to use error and we're going to check to see if it's a models that. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, one thing I want to mention, I had to make this change here. So I had to change the name of my map from errors to errors underscore user. I just gave it this name underscore users, but I could have changed it to anything. I didn't realize that I was naming it errors, and errors is the name of a package, okay, built in to Go. So I knew that, I just didn't realize I was doing it. So errors. So I should not have named my map errors, especially how I have to call this method called is, this function called is, right? And so because I'm calling this is function, when I was doing errors that is, it was telling me your map errors has no function is. All right, so I had to go and change the map name. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm changing it. Okay, so I'm going to check the error to see if it's a duplicate error message. And if it is, then I'm going to add to my errors user map in the email field the message email already in use. Okay, good. And since I have this, I will have to re-render, in other words, redisplay the sign up form. Okay. All right, notice I'm doing all of this inside of this if. So I'm not going to retype all of that code. So I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to grab it. Yeah, right. Grab that. Okay, so again, I'm repeating code, which is not good. That's why you should always refactor. But for now, I'm not refactoring. Okay, we just want to get the functionality working. Once you get the functionality working, then you refactor. Okay, so good, that's the end of the nil. Okay, so that means if I get here, it means that there were no nobody tried to enter a duplicate password, duplicate email. And so if that's the case, then it means that my user was added to the database. And so what I'm going to do for now, I'm just going to say app.session.put, and I'm going to put in the flash key the message your, in fact I'll just say sign up was successful. Okay, sign up was successful. And then of course I will redirect the user to the login page, which I have not created yet. So I have not created the login page, I have not created the login handler, and I have not put the login as a route. But since I'm going to do that in the next video, might as well I put it now. So /user /login. Currently, this route doesn't exist. So http://status c. Oh, http://redirect. Yeah. Okay. Status c other. Okay. So again, user login routes. I don't have that, right? All I have is sign up. So in the next lesson, I'll just add those, because in that lesson, we're going to look at doing the login and doing the logout. All right, so everything looks okay. Again, I'm going to redirect, and then eventually we will redirect to the login page. Okay, but if this works, if we go to our database, we should be able to see the user added. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, again, I'm doing it in steps so that you can see exactly what I'm doing, the process. Okay, so let's sign up a user. Let's use my name. Let's use my email. And let's use password as apple tree juice. Okay. Don't save. Okay, so for a full page not found. Obviously, we haven't made the page yet. Or the route. Or the handler. But let's check our database. Our table, sorry. Select all. Not all. Select name. Select email. And select, what's the name of it? Password _hash from users. Okay, so my name, my email, and this is the password hash, about 60 characters in length. Okay, so this is a hash of the password. So if somebody breaks in, this is what they're going to see. Okay, which is a good thing. You don't want them to actually see the real password. And so what we're going to do now, moving forward, when somebody wants to log in, we will have to take this hash and we will have to undo it. In other words, we'll look at this hash. We'll look at the password the person is using to log in, and we'll hash that too, and then we'll compare. Okay, so we basically will be comparing hashes to allow the user to log in. All right. Okay, so I hope that made sense. Again, we simply Control C, Control L. Again, we simply did what we have been doing in the past. Create an insert method. The only difference was we encrypted our password. Sorry, we hashed, encrypted our password. Okay, I sent you a link concerning bcrypt. All right, it's a type of encryption. Okay, so yeah, we generate a hash of our password. In other words, we encrypt our password. and we store the hash or the encrypted version of the password in our database. That's how you should always do it. If you see somebody storing plain text for a password in a database, then that's completely wrong. Okay, and then in our handlers, where's my handler? Yeah, in my handler, we call insert, and then we check for errors. And if there are errors, we redisplay the form. And then if there are no errors, we simply put a flash message, which will end up being used later on. And then we redirect to the login page. Okay, that's it. I'll see you in the next lesson.